with certain situations as a child that opened my eyes to what was truly going on. I was raised Catholic, went to a Catholic elementary school, went on to go to Catholic high school. Did the whole retreat thing and worship team thing. I did it all, and I've seen it as a child. I don't mean to flip back and forth between things, but just my mind. So many things I want to say and share. I'm trying to summarize.
Go ahead.
When I was in the fourth grade, there was a guy that came to our school from another country, didn't speak English, and he was feminine, but he wasn't gay. There's a difference. Okay, he liked wearing tight jeans. He had long hair. He enjoyed a certain type of music. So the guys from South,
I get what you're saying.
But the guys from the South Bronx didn't understand that. You understand? So he was picked on daily. And I stuck up, and this is my first time that I remember sticking up for anyone. I was in fourth grade. And basically, as it turned out, long story short, he had a large family in the Class and Point section of the Bronx. And they were all guys. They were all men. So the guys who wound up, bullying this kid, which I defended on my own, they now had to deal with this family. And that taught me a lesson from very early on in life. Right? You never judge a book by its cover, and you never totally understand who's behind that person. When you have a group of people who are ready and willing to stand up for you, no matter what, that's because of what and who you are as a person. And the problem with our world, and this goes back many, many centuries, thousands of years actually, is the loyalty was lost a long time ago. The honor, dignity, it was lost a long time ago. What we're experiencing and seeing today is nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of time. But there are certain key people, certain factions of government or places of authority where, and I'm speaking to the choir. I know this, but I'm just sharing because I've been there. Don't think that because I'm a man doesn't mean that I didn't at least see what was going on, and I tried to do something about it as a child. Obviously, I didn't have the power, I didn't have the influence, for people. And I believe, looking back, I'm 54. I believe looking back that in those days, in the 70s and early 80s, there was no internet. And there was, it was rampant. Pedophilia and child abuse. It was rampant in every neighborhood, at least where I grew up in. But there was no way of really coming out and saying anything about it. And if and when you did, you were scolded or you were said, you were chastised, you were made to be or feel like a black sheep. And I thank God when I was 19 and my brother and my father were both murdered the same year. My brother died in my arms, actually.
Wow. Sorry.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry. His birthday just passed recently. And it's still hard to deal with. We were only a year apart. And we did everything together. But I became a man at a young age. I was locked up for something I didn't do. I had to spend 4 years of my life fighting this case, but I won. God gave me another chance at life. And throughout all that time, I always tried to bring awareness to everyone who I crossed paths with, because I realized most people were lost. They had no idea what was going on around them. for me, growing up, it was people from the neighborhood. People from my church, from my school, and it was a small community, so everyone knew everyone. And I'm saying to myself as a young kid, like, why doesn't anyone else see it? Like, really, what the fuck is going on?
Seriously.
And when I hear stories like yours and others, because I personally prevented someone from molesting a young girl, and I was coming home from baseball practice, so I had a bat, and I chased him with my bat. And I was looked at as the bad guy. They actually covered him. And for me, it's not that they were in denial. It was more of an embarrassment to the family, and they refused to admit to what he was doing. And mind you, he went on to molest other girls, and one of the fathers from the block almost killed him, okay, because he caught him molesting his daughter. This is the same guy that I tried to, enlighten everyone to. Like, I literally called him, why won't you believe me? So when I hear these stories, it's like, man, it eats me up, because if men were truly men, I sit here and I listen to you all speak, it's all women. It's all women. If we didn't have the women in the fight, regardless of what fight it is, whether it be the elections, the health of our children, whatever, it's always women leading the fight. And I always ask myself, where are the men? Where are the real men? You can't tell me they don't see it. I know they see it. It's probably right in their neck of the woods. They just don't want to deal with I'm putting this lightly, the stress and strife that comes behind fighting against this system. Sometimes you feel like you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally supply all the evidence to anyone who wants to see it. You can lay it out all in front of them, and they still won't believe you. And yet alone, take the time to read it, take the time to look over it, and make your own decision based off of what you see. Forget about what I'm saying. Don't believe me. In fact, don't believe me. I don't want any of you to believe me. I know some of you feel me and can relate to what I'm saying, but you know what I'm trying to tell you. When you're presented with something and it's out of the ordinary, don't brush it away. Think about what the person is trying to tell you. Whether you want to accept it or not, listen. Try to comprehend what that person is saying, because you never know what type of jewels are going to be dropped on you, and when and from whom. We live in a very tumultuous time where you could have neighbors that are ride or die, or you could live next door to someone who opposes everything about you. In fact, they might even hate you or think you're evil because you support a certain man. These are the times that we live in.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Ali is always talking about children, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We've all experienced enough in our lives to realize that, we were right. But at a very early age, we were right. So we need to focus on the children. I don't hold anything back.
Sir, I want to piggyback off of something you said. I want to talk to you about something my mom does too. Mom, go ahead, go first.
I was just gonna say that's where my frustration's coming from, is because we can't save the children until we get everybody on the same page and we realize we got a problem that we got to deal with. And you're right, we do need the men in the fight. God put the men as the covering over the women and the children, and until the men rise up, I kind of feel like we spin in our wheels a little bit. We need the men So I appreciate you for being here. That's huge.
And I appreciate you too for saying that, because a big deal, like you were talking about with your friend, like I said, I call those pretty boys. It's not that they're gay, it's that something happened in their life and they're going off of their looks. And that's not so much of who you love or what you love. It's about what type of image you're trying to put out there to see what type of response you get back. A lot of the things going on with the men is we have so many men wrapped up in the porn industry, so many men wrapped up in, and we're adults here, so I'm going to talk like an adult here. There's so many men who are, how do I say this, drawn by the look. So as for porn, females are addicted to porn too, and females are different. Females go off of can you wash the dishes? Can you take care of a child? That is what makes me want you. That is what makes me love you. But a man is visual. Men are very visual. So the problem in the world today is that men are so focused on the billboards you see. Everything sells sex. And so if a man is not standing in that line of picking up something that sells sex, then they don't feel like they're a man. Putting that type of visual down is what's hard for the men. Saying that I stand regardless of what I see, saying that I stand and I can put this, this doesn't matter to me, that's hard for the men, because that's crushing their reality of what civilization, what modern day says in order to be a man. In order to be a man, you must be this pimp, this player, this person who can be visual. The looks and the image is what matters to men, and that's the hard part, and that's the problem that doesn't bring many men into this fight. Because if you told men to put down those visuals, it's hard for them. That crushes their reality. So I really appreciate that you brought that to light. I feel like I've seen your name a lot, and I do want to, Oh, you have? Oh, yes. Okay, cool. So my mom said she spoke with you before. So maybe we can pick up this conversation later, but I'm praying for that more of the men can be in this fight. I've always had that situation with men that I couldn't. There's not many men that care if they can't get something out of it.
If I could just interrupt you there respectfully.
Yeah.
Your story is different than mine and many others, right? And vice versa. Right? Everyone has something that they've gone through. And I'm not disagreeing with you. You're right. But I'm going to give you a little pushback, because not all men are the same. Some men play video games all day. Some men watch sports all day. Some men gamble and watch sports. Gamble on the sports they're watching. So yes, it's a problem, but it's more of a distraction. Yes, it's not just porn, which is huge. And I thank God that when Trump came in, he did away with, a certain entity. I'm not going to mention the name. And they've changed certain laws in regards to that. And it's still a work in progress. There's still a lot to be done, but it's a lot better now than it used to be. But
it is.
I see grown men.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you
putting
for allowing me
this
the
message out
time to
there,
speak.
because I really do feel like men need to hear from other men that can say, hey, this is not just I want someone to disagree with me. I don't like yes men either. That there is more than a problem of just sexual things. There is that problem with gambling, addiction, drugs. There's so many visual issues that if you cut off the sports world, you will cripple the men, because that's where a lot of the men are. They're so focused in the sports, drawn to the TV, ready for that game, and you have the women in the kitchen making the hot wings and trying to make sure that they're good. There's so many things that are going on it's creating division for more men to be in this fight. So yeah, we could we could go on and on about this, but thank you so very, very, very much for being here. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to take one more before we get going, and we do have to jump off of here. But I